If your views have been low, maybe you've been struggling to get subscribers to grow, it could be because you're making this mistake that 99% of creators make. I probably have made more mistakes than anybody else when it comes to YouTube, and I've learned a lot of things the hard way. I'm going to be talking about my 3A formula that you can instantly apply to your next video to get better results. Low views, maybe you're struggling with audience retention, maybe you've been experiencing slow growth. This video is definitely for you. You got to just press record. You know, I've been doing YouTube for 17 years, video production for 20 years, and I probably have made more mistakes than anybody else when it comes to YouTube. And I've learned a lot of things the hard way. Early on, I wondered, why are people like jumping off of my videos? Or like, how do I even structure or make a video? And I kept making the same mistakes over and over and over again. But fast forward to today, I've built a couple channels to over 100,000 subscribers, a channel that just crossed 3 million subscribers. And so here's the big mistake. And then I've got 3 specific tips for you. And the big mistake is struggling YouTube channels stay small because they neglect scripting and structuring their videos, especially failing to optimize the crucial first 30 seconds to captivate viewers' attention. The big idea here is that even if you don't script your video word for word, you've got to put some structure into the language, the visuals, the details, if you want to get better results on your videos. And one of the biggest mistakes is people are not optimizing the first 30 seconds of their video. And so I'm going to be breaking down a few tips for this. Now, we teach what's called the perfect video recipe at Think Media. It's the big idea, the hook, the content, and the transition. And we're not going to be covering the whole thing in this video. We're just going to be covering step 2, which is the hook. But here's the deal. The first 30 seconds of your videos matter. And the reason we know this is because YouTube reveals that to us. If you go inside of your analytics, you can look at this section called Key Moments for Audience Retention. And it's going to tell you here is how many people are still watching at 30 seconds. So this idea that YouTube is going to deliver to us a metric lets us know kind of like what YouTube's love languages are. Like, do you know your spouse or your partner's love language? Gifts, quality time, you know, words of encouragement, acts of service. Like YouTube's love language is watch time. Like they want people on the platform long as possible. And it's one thing to be able to get someone to click on your video, right? It's one thing to have a good title, a good thumbnail, but it's a whole nother thing to keep them watching beyond just a few seconds. Haven't you clicked on a video before where you click on it, you start watching and you're like, I'm out. This is taking too long. It's too boring. It's not what I thought it was. It seems like what they promised in the title is not happening in the video. So YouTube in our analytics tells us that the first 30 seconds matters so much. And right here on the Think Media podcast channel, I can see that best in the last little while of posting videos, 86% of people still watching in the first 30 seconds is my peak. I'm curious if you dive in your analytics, what's yours? You can let me know in the comments. And out of these top videos, 69%, so basically 7 out of 10 people, or almost 9 out of 10 people are still watching after 30 seconds. Pretty good. Now, the lowest though is as low as only 4 out of 10 people are still watching after the first 30 seconds. So it's great to get people on your video. But if you lose 6 of them by 30 seconds, it also doesn't matter what you say later. Sometimes what we struggle with, right, it's hard enough to get someone to click on your video. But if you're losing most of them in the intro, so we start seeing, of course, not just how important the entire video is, but how important the first 30 seconds of each video is. So the question is, how do you optimize the first 30 seconds of your video? We're going to be talking about that and going through my 3A framework. Number 1, grab attention. Grab attention. The first tip for optimizing your first 30 seconds is grab attention. Here's a few ideas for you. You could open with a qualifying question. So I recently did a video for Amazon Prime Day, a couple live streams. And so my qualifying question might be something like, are you looking for the best tech deals on cameras, lighting, tripods, and tools for content creators? Well, in this video, I'm going to be going through. So if you want to grab attention, what our goals here is we want to kind of remind the viewer they're in the right place. We kind of want to double down on the promise that we made in the title. Now, here's another tip. You want to address pain. Most miss this. So if you want to power up the first 30 seconds of your video, if you can relate to the frustration or the pain that the viewer is facing, if I'm going to use my Amazon Prime video as a case study here, we might say, are you wanting to get the maximum savings to make sure you don't overspend your money? Losing money would be painful. If you maybe had a video that was helping people try to lose weight, you might say it's frustrating, even if you've been dieting and working out, but you can't even seem to lose any pounds at all. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about why that is because of metabolism or something else. So what is the pain point that the viewer is experiencing? Can you acknowledge that, address that, speak to that, relate to that? Now, you also can point to a solution. Like a lot of people on Amazon Prime Day, they overspend because they don't have the right tools. Are you using a price tracker? Are you actually comparing prices across different websites? So there's a problem, there's pain we could point to. There's also solutions coming up inside of this video. These are all ways to grab attention in the first 30 seconds. And if it seems like I'm overthinking this, I'm not. YouTube is a massive opportunity. They say the next 3 years are going to be the best 3 years in the creator economy. That's Goldman Sachs. The creator economy is going to double in terms of how much money there is in the system. It's a great time to start a channel. Even if you're starting from scratch, this is a really good time to start and grow. But a lot of people are plateaued and they're struggling to get views really because the game has changed. The stakes are higher. The competition is higher. I should say competition is highest for low effort content. But those that are being this thoughtful about their first 30 seconds, those that are being thoughtful about their titles, their thumbnails, and they're really taking their marketing skills and their content creation skills to another level. So these are all the kind of points that top creators are thinking about. Now, you also can show and tell. What do I mean there? That means that if you start on camera just talking head like this, if you can add in B-roll and start teasing what's coming up, this could grab attention. If you are talking about a makeup look or a beauty look or transformation with skincare, you might say, you know, I was frustrated because in my 40s and my 50s, my skin was kind of dry, my wrinkles really showing, and that's what they see. Then it cuts to some B-roll of maybe your morning routine. And then it's like, but then after using this serum and you could see my results here, then you see, whoa, how illuminating, you know, look at the glow. That's a glow up right there. You know, you start seeing the show and tell. So you start previewing and teasing what's coming up, and that's going to grab attention. Man, I want to watch for what's coming later in the video. And, you know, at the time of going live on This Is Our Coffee with Candle show, but I think we're going to post this video as well. This is a live stream, but I'm able to, at least in some level, show by using slides. Like I've got slides here. I've kind of built a live streaming setup that allows me to be a little bit more dynamic and bring the visuals up. And then here's a power tip. If possible, if you can create an open loop and tension, then you really are going to be able to maximize the first 30 seconds. What does that mean? Really, good stories create tension. They create conflict. So it's like once someone clicks on the video, you sort of open up with a qualifying question, but then you might want to agitate the problem. And you might notice I'm doing some of those things in this video, as I should be, but it's like there's massive opportunity in the creator economy, which is a fact verified by data, but we also have a lot of problems and challenges. And so the tension is if you don't skill up, if you don't learn new skills, but in a good story, you might introduce, you know, you have a protagonist, they have a challenge, they have a problem, they have something they have to overcome. There's an enemy that they need to defeat. The enemy for you could be age. The enemy for you could be someone's tax bill. The enemy for your channel could be housing affordability. The enemy for your gaming channel could literally be beating the game. And so it's kind of a storytelling element to introduce tension or an open loop. And an open loop is, I already clicked on the video. Consider this, they're already here. If they're watching the first 30 seconds, they're on the video. So now it's like, all right, what would make them want to watch until the end? The goal with this first tip of grabbing attention is remind the viewer they're in the right place, make a bold promise. They've already clicked. Now, how can you grip them even more? Open up a loop. And listen, towards the end of the video, so if we go all the way back to my Amazon Prime Day example, and I say, and towards the end of my video, I got 10 tips for you, but towards the end of the video, I'm actually going to be sharing a cool opportunity on Amazon that makes Prime Day unnecessary. And the answer to that is Amazon Warehouse, because you could get these open box like new deals that are potentially still under warranty for a much better price anytime you want. So if I've done my research and I found a solution, I'm going to open up a loop and give the viewer a reason to watch until the end. Let me ask you a question. Have you been doing all these things in the first 30 seconds of your video? We're just on tip number 1 of 3. And do you see room for improvement when it comes to the first 30 seconds of your video? Let me know if you're getting any insights on these. And if you are, hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you're getting value. Tip number 2, this is my 3A formula for holding viewer attention during the first 30 seconds. Establish your authority. This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. StreamYard is our go-to platform here at Think Media for live streaming to Facebook and YouTube and for recording our video podcast. It has an incredibly easy to use interface for built-in branding, transitions, text lower thirds, and seamlessly bringing on guests. And they just added an awesome new feature called local recording. This allows you to take the quality to another level by separating out your audio and video from your guests, giving you more control over your content for later use. This feature is perfect for video and podcast creators. And so to get a special deal on StreamYard right now and to see all the features that are included, just go to streamwiththink.com. That is streamwiththink.com. Establish your authority. Here's a couple tips for how to establish your authority. The question we're asking or answering here is the viewer then saying, why should I trust you? So you've asked a question, you've pointed to what's coming up next, and I'll give you an example. So on the Amazon Prime Day video, I'm like, are you looking for the best deals? And I'm also going to niche down, not on jeans, not on diapers, although I need those too I don't need those, but for my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old, not on household goods, but my niche is cameras, tech, tools for creators. So I'm going to paint that picture because that's the promise of the video. Are you looking for the best deals and the biggest savings on cameras, tech, tripods, lighting, tools for creators? You know, I've been doing video production for 20 years and YouTube for 17. And I've learned a lot of tips along the way. And I've wasted a lot of money on gear over the years. And so in this video, I'm going to not just be sharing some of my insights and lessons, but also some advice to help you maximize your money. So I am thoughtful as I was going into that video to establish my authority. And notice I wasn't like, before we get into the video, I was born in Seattle, Washington, 1983. I'll never forget that day. Actually, I did forget that day. I don't remember the day I was born. Do you? But you don't need to tell like your whole story, but is there something that now can help the viewer out of all the videos they've clicked on YouTube want to stick around on this video? Here's some ideas for you, because you might say, Sean, well, I haven't been doing this a long time, or I don't have a lot of credibility. Well, there's a lot of things you could share. One is experience. So experience could just be, after doing this for 1 year, after doing this for 3 years, like if you're 1 year into your sales job, you're like, man, my first year in sales was tough. I made tons of mistakes. And now here's like 10 things I wish I knew back when I started a year ago. You're a year ahead of people that are just starting. So what kind of experience? You've already raised some kids. You've already have some experience. How about time? The amount of time you've done something. How about mistakes you've made? It's not even just your successes, it's also your mistakes. Like I actually think about one of the reasons why I think a lot of people resonate with our content, helping them grow on YouTube, is because I personally think I've made more mistakes than anybody else. Like I've posted more bad videos. I've had more failed YouTube channels. That's helped me start some successful ones. So it's not just, if you will, the victories, because those come eventually. But while you're on the journey, you're like, listen, I've spent a lot of time and I've wasted time and money and made mistakes. The reason this video is awesome is because I can help you avoid the pain and the hardship that I've gone through. And so again, you don't need an award or a PhD. You just need to have made some mistakes And then you can help other people avoid that pain. Maybe an amount of research. There's lots of people, you could call them like curators, or even some of the faceless channels, is after researching or after spending 10 hours or 50 hours or 100 hours, you're now passing that along to the viewer. If you establish your authority with a very compelling promise, number one, grab attention. Number two, establish your authority. And in this video, you're about to learn from all of this research I've done. So even if you're not a results expert, you could still be a research expert. You're packaging. Have you seen some of these booktube channels? Like, they're just very helpful at taking like the complex ideas of a great business book or self-development book or personal development book, synthesizing those and presenting those to the viewer. I watch a lot of book summaries 10 minutes long on YouTube for free because I know I want to read the book, but I'm overwhelmed with how many books I want to read. So I get the big ideas out of the book. I actually don't know the person. I just know that their synthesis is good. They spent the time to research it, summarize it, and present that information to me. Doesn't mean they built a multi-million-dollar business. It means that they did the research to do it. So there's a lot of ways you could establish your authority. Maybe you do have, though, some certifications. Again, you might say, you know, I'm a CFA, CPA, and in this video, and that's it. One of them is the things I want to note here is you can establish your authority in like less than a sentence potentially. You just drop a nugget. You just drop something that kind of then anchors the viewer. Okay, you got my attention. Oh, now I understand that this is why I can trust you. There's some handles here. There's some authority. There's some proof here. Out of everybody I could watch on the internet, you've got an award. And then you can start thinking about if you can start putting like awards in the background. If you think about the visuals, these can be hints to the viewer consciously or even subconsciously about the authority of the results you've gotten, results that you've personally achieved, or results your clients have achieved. In some cases, a lot of our Video Ranking Academy students are subject matter experts, or they were doing client work and they've done a lot of things for others. Sometimes we're overwhelmed to start YouTube because we're afraid of being small at the start. Like, I have no subscribers, I'm getting no views. But don't overthink that. Like, that's not your only credibility. Your credibility might be like, yeah, you know, I've been behind this. I've helped, at Think Media, we've helped people get 1 billion views. That's a lot more views than even we have. I think across just our main channels, it's 500, 600 million right now. And so all the views we've helped others get might help you build trust with us to be like, oh, okay, you've gotten your clients' results. Maybe you have some relationships, you know, you have a little flex, you know, like as I personally have, you know, worked with the Wu-Tang Clan as their photographer. One of these security guys I was talking to at Neil Dingra's event Forward, I was talking to a security guy. We didn't end up working with him, but he's like, hey, if you want me to work with your event, you know, always connecting. By the way, I do security for the RZA for the Wu-Tang Clan. I was like, I've never heard of you before, but I've heard of the RZA and I've heard of the Wu-Tang, you know, so, and so the relationship. So here's the good news. You might go, well, I don't know Method Man or Raekwon or, you know, any of the other Wu-Tang Clan members, Killa Priest, Master Killa. What are we talking about? Ghostface Killa. What are we talking about? Just pick one. Pick one of these. And I guarantee you, if you're watching this, you have at least one of these that could help you when it comes to establishing your authority. Tip number 3. This is just the first 30 seconds. So I know, like, it's taken me 30 minutes to explain this hook, but this is the kind of psychology that goes into it. This is what can go into the first 30 seconds of your video. But once you synthesize this all down, it can happen fast. So then this is finally, and this is really short. You can set the agenda, So then you're like, here's what's coming up. So remember what we've done here. We have grabbed attention, opened with a question, talked about the pain or the problem the viewer has, showing we understand that. Talked about the opportunity, maybe show and tell with some B-roll. So we've grabbed attention. We've established our authority. Hey, listen, I've been doing video for 20 years, YouTube for 17. And in this video, so notice also, I could do this whole thing in probably less than 30 seconds for sure. You could do this very fast. So it's like establish authority. And then here's what's coming up in part 1 of this video, in part 2, depending on how you want to structure the video. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you this methodology. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining through this. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to prepare the eggs, the actual cooking process, and then even a way to plate and serve them. Like, what is the structure of your video? What can the viewer expect that's coming up? Here's how the video is structured. And especially in education, you might also talk about and check out time codes and chapters. If that's relevant to your video, you're bringing some organization and structure to it. But keep in mind, you also might go, Sean, this only applies to storytelling content. This only applies to education content. It wouldn't apply to entertainment. I disagree. Because again, in stories, the protagonist has something they need to do. They have a mission. Good stories make it clear who that main character is, what the mission is, what their task is. And it's more or less explicitly defined. And then they set out to reach that goal, ultimately to solve an external problem, and then eventually to solve an internal problem. So in Roadhouse, there's this big problem. There's all this crime and all these fights are breaking out and we need help. And there's no bouncer, there's no security person that could ever handle this. Everyone quits. It's too hard. And so they bring this fighter in, Jake Gyllenhaal, right? And Conor McGregor, there's an enemy in the whole thing. So even in entertainment videos, you better believe it, the best entertainment videos are setting an agenda. Like Mr. Beast recent video with 50 of the top YouTubers of all time. I brought 50 of the top YouTubers of all time. That's the characters, to do challenges. They've got obstacles to overcome. And only one is going to walk away with a finish line, a prize. Like there's a whole structure to it. So this is relevant to every single type of YouTube channel. And if you're getting away and having some YouTube success without doing this, everything I just talked about with our 3A formula will only increase your success, because by better articulating tension, what's coming up, and structure to the video, then it's setting expectations up front. And if done well, not only is YouTube going to reward you by saying you got 9 out of 10 people still watching after 30 seconds, then the whole structure of your video will hold attention better as well. And so Donald Miller put it this way, and we'll link this up in the description if you've never read Story Brand. It's an essential book for every creator. But he said the customer is also always the hero, not your brand. When we position our customer as the hero and ourselves as the guide, we will be recognized and trust as the trusted resource to help them overcome their challenges. Positioning the customer as the hero in the story is more than just good manners. It's also good business. Here's my point for this is when you're thinking about your whole hook, I want to encourage you, the viewer is the hero. And so if you start framing your hook that way, one of the biggest mistakes a lot of creators make is they think they're the hero. Now, if this YouTube channel is about you and it's you on your escapades and you vlogging and all of that cool stuff, then yeah, it works for 1% of people. But this mindset shift changed everything for me. Because if the viewer is the hero, then you're thinking about what is their pain point, what is their obstacle, what is the victory or the thing that they want to reach for, and you're pulling them into the story. And then here's the path we're going to go on together. We're going to figure out how to overcome this checkpoint, this checkpoint, this checkpoint. And so one of the biggest mistakes that keeps channels small is, I know it's called YouTube, but I want to challenge you, it's not about you. The best YouTube channels make it about the viewer. They become obsessed with the viewer. They want to help the viewer win. And they realize this, your income is directly correlated to the amount of value you add to the marketplace. That if you help the viewer win, it was like what Jim Rohn said. If you'll just help other people get what they want, then ultimately you'll also get what you want. But if you focus on your needs, wants, and desires first, you probably miss out on those as well. Or you won't last, because that's ultimately a selfish positioning at the start. So the viewer is the hero and you are the guide. So if you grab attention, if you then establish your authority to serve and help them as the guide, and then if you set the agenda, ultimately you are going to have a lot better results in the first 30 seconds. And then I want you to avoid these mistakes that people make during their intros, wasting time introducing yourself. Establish your authority, yes, but don't waste time with your life story. Long video bumpers and intro music sequences. Notice that during this entire thing, I would encourage you on camera narrating through or walking people through, or perhaps showing and telling and doing some establishing shots when it comes to storytelling, bringing people into the story. But the old school, your logo comes up, After Effects, theme music, theme music, theme music for 30 seconds. Like, ain't nobody got time for that on YouTube in today's era. So thinking about what is the title, thumbnail, and topic, what does it promise? And then as soon as it gets into it, cut to the chase. The first 30 seconds are packed with the 3A formula, not long video bumpers and intro music sequences. And then not planning out your hook. You might go, geez, I had no idea that that level of architecture and structure could go into the first 30 seconds of your video. It can. And so those who are winging it and are just random when it comes to their hook, they're getting random results. Maybe you get lucky, you probably don't. So if you're like, Sean, my views are down, my subscribers are down, I don't know why I'm stuck. Are you planning your hooks? Are you thinking through these things? Are you actually intentionally taking extra time to craft and structure your videos? I want to encourage you, if you do, you can get better results. Every once in a while, I'll get a comment and someone will say, Sean, I've applied everything you've ever taught and it's not working. My channel's not growing. What's funny to me though, is that that comment always comes from someone who doesn't even have a YouTube avatar. It's like the letter of their name, right? Of their channel. And I'm like, you clearly have not applied everything I've said because you haven't even done the minimum of your YouTube channel branding. But now I'm curious. So I'll click through and I'll click over to their video. They've got like 3 or 4 videos, and one is like a shaky video of their dog scratching a hole in the yard. There's no hook, there's no structure. But if they do have like an on-camera video, I'll click on it and I'm like, I don't think you've done everything we've taught, because I don't see the 3A. You're not establishing authority. You did not grab my attention. You wasted my time with a long bumper. You took a long time to get to the chase. There's a lot of mistakes that hold people back. So I do want to challenge you to take extreme ownership and to not make excuses, not blame others, not blame the algorithm, but look inwardly and be like, I'm going to level up. I'm going to improve my skills. I'm going to take responsibility to make better content, because if you do, you could get results. So all we covered here was the hook, and this is part of our perfect video recipe. There's the 4 parts of the perfect video recipe. We don't have time to go into that today. I want to encourage you. I just shared a lot, very tactical things that could feel overwhelming. But the reason we call it the perfect video recipe is because at least you have a template to get in the kitchen and start cooking up some videos. And this is how you might feel with your videos right now. Like they're a hot mess, right? You burnt the cookies. Your intro was bad. You've messed up here. Your on camera ability. Your wife is berating you and she doesn't even respect you. Look at this guy, poor man. He's trying. Like he's trying to cook a meal for his family, and his wife. Okay, like when you start cooking, you make mistakes. Nobody is a master chef on their first try. Every chef burns the food, drops the ingredients on the floor, makes mistakes. The key is to stay in the kitchen. And I want to encourage you, get 1% better with every upload. Keep posting, keep improving. Subscribe to Think Media, like stick with us. And the point of the perfect video recipe, we just covered a little bit of the hook right here, but it's kind of like HelloFresh. I remember when I subscribed to HelloFresh, all of a sudden I was like, dude, I'm Anthony Bourdain, man. I didn't even know how to cook before, but all I have to do is follow this checklist. Like it just tells me exactly what to do. Here's the ingredients. Here's the order to put them in. And I still messed it up. I still was like, I was making these ground beef and you needed to put the chopped up garlic and the spice in it, but I had already made the beef balls. So I was like trying to plug the garlic on the outside. I should have started over and I was supposed to mix it all together first, as opposed to like patting on so that the garlic was internal on the beef. So I did it wrong. Still threw them in the oven. They still turned out all right. But afterwards, I'm now telling you, I'm like, okay, my sequencing was off. Next time I get in the kitchen, I can improve it. I can do it a little bit better. That's the point of having systems and formulas and recipes. And so I want to encourage you, don't quit. Eventually, this is how you'll be making your YouTube videos. You'll just be able to manipulate the different pieces. I can edit, I can deliver on camera. I'm thinking about the the hooks, the different elements that I want to craft the story I want to tell, to entertain, to educate, and your confidence will build over time. And I believe that if you don't quit, just go to thinkmasterclass.com to get access to my 1 hour on-demand YouTube strategy class. You'll be looking over my shoulder as I share my best tips, and you can watch it on demand right now at thinkmasterclass.com.